Hi everybody, Harry Platkow here with the Artist Corner. I hope you had a good summer. The wife and I, we took a cruise to Bermuda in June. Spent a lot of time with Fran and Joe Dunaher, well-known couple here in town. If you're in Milford and you're into Facebook, today's guest is going to be quite familiar. His name is Justin Elia, and he is an up-and-coming photographer, and he has some great photos that we're going to show. But before we do that, your introduction to photography is pretty recent.
Yes, it is.
Tell us what brought that on.
Well, back in 2013, to promote my tree cutting business,
Yeah.
I realized I had to use a social media site, to get on a social media site to push my advertising. And I was really skeptical about getting on social media. I was kind of intimidated by it, but I had to do it. So I did. And I started taking pictures of my tree work and posting it on my social media page and to generate work, which it did. Not a lot, but better than the traditional method I was using by putting signs in people's yards, and I found out that wasn't really working so well. So that's the avenue that I sought, was social media.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was Facebook. You know, and then did that for a few months, and then one day I had a tree job, a tree that. How I was doing this is I'd take pictures from my tree truck, elevated up in the air 60 feet, and I would take 3 sets of pictures. Before I started my job of my objective tree, halfway through the job, and then when the job was finished.
Yeah.
So it was like a chronology of how I would do my tree work. One day, I think it might have been Ideroller Ave I was on in Milford, top of West Street, and a tree I was going to be cutting down was at the beginning of the driveway, right on the edge of the road. And when I took the pictures, how I just explained it, the camera was taken in all background of, here was the tree, and then there was the road, and you can just see a row of houses. Well, anyway, I posted those pictures on my Facebook. And I got a comment from a girl who hadn't been living in Milford for over 35 years, but she pointed out to me that, I grew up in that house 35 years ago. It was the last time I was in Milford, and what a warm feeling to see this house. That is something else. Thank you, Justin, And I kind of, I got a kick out of it, but, it didn't generate a tree job. So it was disappointing in that factor, but it was still nice.
Let's take a look at your work.
Okay.
Jay, you want to punch up the first one? Oh, I guess that is the first one. That's Milford Town Hall, right?
Yes. It's the steeple of the town hall with the Sacred Heart Church in the background.
What time of day was that?
Oh, this was early morning before the sun came up.
Really?
Yeah, it was still dark, but it just had a nice look to it.
It does have a nice look to it. And the camera that you use, tell us what it is.
I started off with a Fuji digital, just a little thing.
Yeah.
And I did that for a couple of years, and then I upgraded to a Canon Rebel.
Right.
35 millimeter digital. And that camera, a little bulkier than the little Fuji, but it was working pretty good.
Do you shoot a lot in the automatic mode, or do you experiment in the manual modes?
The manual mode, I would say.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Was that one taken in the manual mode?
That was in the manual mode.
Did you have a tripod as well?
No.
You can't bring a tripod up in the bucket truck, right?
No.
Yeah.
No, it'd be a little cumbersome.
Yeah.
I just, what I learned was I would have to take a lot of pictures to get a good picture.
Yeah.
Because it was shake. I mean, especially these night pictures, blurs. I mean, So the more I kept doing it, Harry, the more adjusted I got to
Yeah.
doing it, the more I learned.
Sure.
You know, basically it was just take a lot of pictures of that one thing you're taking pictures of.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of shim, you know.
Were you changing the settings with every shot? It's called bracketing. Did you do that?
No, I would just go normal with the thing.
Yeah.
And from the elevated position taking these pictures, I would have it at that one setting, and I'd take a series of pictures of my objective, and then I'd do a 360 and just take
Right.
pictures of everything underneath me. And then I would turn it, I'd magnify it, you know, enlarge my pictures
Yeah.
now. And now I take the same picture, same thing. And then I would do portrait style, of course, holding the camera this way. So
Yeah, it's called vertical.
I'd go vertical, and I'd just take a bunch of pictures.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I would to do it. You know,
That photo is nicely composed, I must say.
Well, what I liked about it was Sacred Heart was illuminated, and it was really sticking out like a sore thumb. And I'm like, wow, anybody from Milford's going to know. Obviously, if they don't recognize the town hall, they're going to be like, well, what is that other one? It's got to be Sacred Heart.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that effect.
Jay, let's go to the next one. Oh, what are we looking at here?
This is town of Plymouth. This is Plymouth, Massachusetts. And that church on the left, the darker color one, that one, let's see what my paper says here. That is the First Parish. And the white one is the Church of the Pilgrimage.
Oh, okay.
And
What time of day was this?
this was early in the morning. It was in the wintertime. It was in February. And it was probably, I'd say 2 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a nice little place to set up. And, you know, other than that picture, I mean, I also got myself positioned where I could isolate each church and get it individually, you know. But I liked how it was because they are close to each other.
Right.
I just wish I had a little bit more space so I could have engulfed more of the church to the right and the one on the left.
Does the gendarme ever give you problems?
What's that?
The cops.
You know, there was only one instance, and that was in the city of Stoneham.
Yeah.
Cops say, "Get the hell out of here, will you?"
Wow.
He didn't say it in a threatening manner.
Yeah.
Because I told him, I said, "Look, officer, my name is Elia. I'm doing a photographic documentary for the historical preservation of Stoneham. You got
Yeah.
some really beautiful churches
Wow.
here." And he goes, "Well, who are you doing this for? The Historical Society?" I said, "No, it's a solo operation. I'm doing it myself. I'm
Yeah.
going to try to have these pictures. I'm going to try to have these pictures documented and archived."
Yeah.
He goes, "Listen, go to Reading if you're going to take pictures, because
Oh,
the town of
my
Reading's right next door." And I was going to Reading, but I wanted the sad thing was I only got one church in Stoneham,
Yeah.
you know, pretty one, but I had like 6 or 7 on my list for that particular shoot that I wasn't able to get. But the cop was nice, you know, but I knew if I pushed the envelope,
Yeah.
I probably would have got in trouble.
Right.
You know, but no, I had a few incidents where policemen were just curious. They didn't know what is this, what are you doing here in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
going up in the air like that, you know? Then I would explain to them, just like I said to them, doing a photographic documentary, you
Right.
know, and but they were mostly nice, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of them was just like, hey, be careful, you know. But no, I never had any problems with any police officer.
A shoot is a very expensive proposition for you.
Yes, it is.
You have a bucket truck
Mm-hmm.
that you take to your shoots.
Yes.
I don't know how many gallon tank it is, but you've been all over the state. You've been in even Martha's Vineyard in Nantucket.
No, I never made it to Nantucket, but Martha's Vineyard.
You took
Nantucket
a
was
bucket truck on a ferry to Martha's Vineyard.
2 separate times.
Yeah.
Late 2014, when I finished up Milford, October 2014, I went to the Vineyard,
Yeah.
and then I went in the spring of 2015. Yes, the boat ride with a 13-ton truck got pricey, and but then you know, as I did this Massachusetts project, I realized that the cost of diesel fuel was, whew.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
You're one of the people that I've met in my life that really has a fire in the belly. Are you familiar with that term?
Yes.
A need to achieve a goal. And you've got so many things going on. You're working on a book featuring churches. Tell us about that. What inspired that?
Well, when I did the Milford Project, I was just aimlessly going into town and just taking pictures of whatever I could.
Yeah,
And then the reviews and the comments I was getting back from people,
right.
especially the churches, because, you know, they're the most, as far as I'm concerned, the most impressive structures in towns.
Yeah,
They're tall, some are grand, some are bland, some are prettier than others, you know, some might not be pretty, but they play a significant factor in a town,
yeah,
you know?
sure.
And I took that as being an objective, and I learned that from the Milford shoots.
Yeah,
So when I would go to a town or a city, I would aim for their churches, you know? It's not because I'm a big religious person, but because they represent something, they're pretty, you know, and they just look nice. And I learned from taking these pictures, at nighttime, it's just, from up that high, they just really look pretty, and it was peaceful. Harry, I'm telling you, it was like, it got to a point where it was like, I couldn't believe how quiet, you know, it's quiet up there, you know, and they just, if there was an illumination, if the town was lit up underneath, it really enhanced the photography. And I started to learn what to really look for when I went to these towns and cities throughout Massachusetts.
yeah,
And I zeroed in on it, you know, and like I said, it's not that I was or I am a good photographer, it's just I had the means to go up and get these pictures.
right.
And just take a lot of pictures because it's digital.
Jay, bring up the next one. What are we looking at here?
That is the Harvard Epworth Methodist Church in Cambridge,
Yeah,
right in front of Harvard University, and that's Massachusetts Ave.
yeah.
It was a full moon night in the wintertime, a couple of years ago.
What time of day was that?
Oh, this was nighttime. This was probably 2, 3 in the morning.
Wow.
And I was able to find a place to park, and it looked really pretty. And I was like, I gotta get this church. And so where I parked, took me 11 minutes, and this is how I zeroed it down. I got it so I could park that truck, put my stabilizers down so your truck doesn't tip over when you're up in the air.
Right.
And I'd get up, and within 11 minutes, I'd have the pictures all done, down on the ground, drive out of there. So I made it quick, but that really, I went by it and I'm like, wow, this is really pretty. With that moon behind it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I had to get the shot. So yeah, that one was really nice.
You know, it looks like it was taken with a time exposure, a long exposure. Do you know?
I don't know. That's another language to me, Harry. That's why I'm glad I'm friends with you. You know, we can learn tips like that. But no, I don't know that.
Okay.
But no, I just took a bunch of pictures.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, I probably took 20 pictures of that, and probably 10 of them just fuzzy, you know.
Right.
And it was, to me, it was frustrating. I'm like, I wish I had the knowledge of an experienced photographer so that I could, make adjustments to the camera or what I would have to need. But so anyway, yeah, that was a pretty one. That was a real pretty picture right there.
You're going to be on ViewBug soon. I feel it. You should.
Well, okay.
There we go. Well, what do we have here?
Well, that's the town of Marlborough. It's right up the street from us, off 495. And I think that's the Baptist church. Let's see, Marlborough. That's the First Baptist church. And it's just got that steeple that goes up that looks pretty unique, you know, and it splits 2 roads that are off the main street. And I had a really good position to set up. I mean, as you can see, the telephone pole crossbar.
Yeah.
I was in a parking spot off the road safely, and I had a good setup, and I just liked it. It was illuminated. There was some light cast.
Yeah, right. And this was taken early in the morning as well, right?
Yeah, probably anywhere between 1 and 3 in the morning.
Incredible.
Yeah. Well, it was best for me. That's when I found out I didn't, it was dangerous. Impaired drivers.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
Had a few. But it was when it was quiet and there was less traffic. I mean, I wanted the quiet look.
Right. Right.
That's,
Yeah, you achieved that.
yeah. But that's in Marlboro. Yeah. Yeah.
Next one, Jay. Oh, what are we looking at here?
That one right there. That's in the city of Northampton, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
It's out by Springfield.
Yeah. There's a college there, right?
Yeah.
Big
Yeah.
college. Amherst.
No, yeah, it's close. That's the next town over. I forgot the name of the college in that town, but it's an artsy type of place.
Yeah.
And that town hall really looked cool. It's right on the main drag,
Yeah.
and I had a place to set up in a safe place, and I just liked it. It kind of reminded me of the Milford Armory.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but
It has a castle look to it, doesn't it?
that's what intrigued me.
Yeah.
Plus the crosswalk going across almost
Right.
looked like a game board,
Yeah.
and I liked it. But that's a town hall,
Yeah.
city hall, I think that would be referred to in Northampton. Good sized
I don't
town,
know.
real pretty town.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I like that how it looked.
Jay, bring up the next. Oh, yeah. Where's
that one.
that?
That's in the town of Lexington, Mass.
Yeah.
And of course, Lexington is next to Concord. It's just a little northwest of Boston.
Right.
And that church, what was that church? That is the St. Bridget Catholic Church. I was able to park in a safe place in front of the church, and I was just a little disappointed. I couldn't get center. I couldn't reach center. I wanted to get that dead on. That was the closest I could get. See, it's a little, just a little off.
You
But
think so?
the sky was really pretty behind it,
yeah.
and the dome of that church was just blending in with that blue, and I was like, "This is a really pretty one." So yeah, I got that one.
You did.
I had to get that one.
Yeah, you nailed that.
Yeah.
Next one, Jay.
This is one I consider one of my prettiest church pictures, and that's in the town of Weston, which is right on Route 20, real close to Waltham.
Yeah.
And that one is, I think, the St. Peter's Episcopal Church. And I was going by it. It was the same day, same night I was in Lexington. I was coming down, came down 95, jumped on 20. And this thing was sticking out like a sore thumb. I had seen it before, but it was illuminated. It had some lights on it, and I could see the half moon behind the steeple. I'm like,
What
wow.
is this at sunrise? Do you figure?
No, this was the Lexington and the Weston shoot. That was early evening. It was still only probably 9 o'clock. Maybe it wasn't too late. Yeah, it wasn't even that. Maybe 8 o'clock because you could still see it was. It was getting dark. You could see the purple in the bottom,
Right.
but it had a real serene look to it, Harry. And I was like, I have to get this. I don't know. So I set up and.
You're the photographer of serenity.
Well, as I explained, that's what I was
Looking for.
kind of got trained
Yeah.
in my own sense to look for something subtle, silent, quiet, peaceful, and pretty.
Yeah.
And try to get the colors to enhance it,
Yeah.
the lighting. But it's I've been learning it as I've been going with it.
Yeah. Jay, the next one.
Ah,
Oh, the State House.
that's a Massachusetts State House. And I can't remember the name of the road I was on, but anybody familiar with Boston would know that road. But I looked at this and I'm like, I like the flags. I wanted the wall of that building right on my side. I got my truck parked, and that dome was glowing. I mean, it was like, wow. So I took a bunch of pictures, and luckily I did because a lot of them just came out smeary, smushy.
Yeah.
And I also did, that's obviously a portrait style picture. I also had pictures that came out really nice, that a landscape also.
Yeah.
But I like that. I like this perspective better because when I did the landscape, the flags weren't visible. So when I did the portrait, turn the tile vertical.
Yeah.
I was able to pick up the sidewalk with those flags.
Oh, I see.
And I still got the State House in there, but yeah, I liked that. Real
Cool.
quiet night. It was in early morning,
Yeah.
probably any time between 2 and 4.
Incredible.
Yeah, and I found out going into the cities like Springfield and Worcester and Boston in the middle of the night, I found out it was quite advantageous to me because a lot of the city municipality workers were out doing the work, whether it was underground work or whatever they were doing.
Yeah.
It was obvious that they were there at that hour in the night because there was no traffic and that was the only time to do it.
Right.
So I could go in and just act like I'm part of a workforce in the city. But like I said, I kept it quick, 11 minutes, got it right down to really no more than 11 minutes. Be up and at them, get the pictures,
Get
down and out of there before I drew any attention to myself or caused any problems with traffic.
Yeah.
But I did it safely as I could. Put road cones out all the time, and my emergency flashes on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good picture. I like the flags. I mean, to me, I liked it, and how the road goes right up to it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Next one, Jay. Where's that?
This one was really cool. This was out in Adams, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Way out. Adams is out in almost the top right-hand corner of northern Massachusetts, Weston, and that's the St. Thomas Aquinas.
St. Thomas Aquinas.
Yeah, St. Thomas Aquinas. That's a Catholic church. Can't see; it's cropped out, but the full moon is right in the top right corner.
Wow.
It's not showing right now, but it was really beaming, and I'm like, that's a really nice looking church. So I was able to get on the back side of it and get it with the full moon in there, but you can't see it right now. But
Are you saying the moon illuminated the church?
not that. No, the moon was off the side. No, there was some lights blasting at street lights,
Right.
and no, the moon was off to the side, top right-hand corner would be.
Boy,
And,
if the moon was doing it, that'd be Armageddon.
Oh yeah, no, that would be too light. No, I enhanced that a little bit with Photoshop.
Yeah.
It was a little dark, so I just touched it up a little bit.
Right.
But the cross at the very top of the peak there, both crosses on the lower peak and
Yeah.
the top steeple, those were being beamed by the moon, and I was like, I knew the camera would pick that up.
Wow.
I knew it would, after from doing it so long.
Sure.
But what was the name of the mountain? Mount Greylock?
Greylock
You can't
is
see it,
out
but
there.
Mount Greylock. On some of the other pictures, when I did the Adams shoot, I had got Greylock in there
Yeah.
because there was some other churches that I isolated and got with Greylock in the background. But I like that one the best. I just wish the moon was in there,
Right.
but it's not. But that was a quiet fall morning. It was early. It was, like I said, anywhere between 1:30 and 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, it's quiet though. It just. So,
Next one, Jay.
yeah. This church. This is the Blessed Sacrament Church in Greenfield, Mass. Blessed Sacrament, Greenfield, the Blessed Sacrament Church, and that was in Greenfield, and I wasn't when I got to this church to take this picture. I was in the back of the church, and I started taking pictures, and all those lights in the back, some type of maybe a hospital, I'm not sure, but it was all lit up. And when I was taking pictures from the back of the church, it was kind of mundane. It really wasn't depicting anything other than a building. But I knew I was going to go to the front and get the pictures of the front of the church. And when I did, I realized, wow, that lighting in the back of this church is really going to make that cross stick out. It's a small cross at the top, but so I took a bunch. And then that's vertical. Then I went horizontally. I took the landscape pictures, which you could see more of the church, the wings going out on the side.
Was this early morning?
This was about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning because I went to Greenfield first. When I
Yeah.
left Greenfield, I went up to Bernardston, and then I went to Northfield, and then I went over to Irving, and then these are all north, central
I've
north.
never heard of any of them.
Yeah, well, that's the thing I found about Massachusetts. It's like I'd go into these towns. Like I said, I'd Google it. I got strategic with this. Before I went into the town, I got strategic. I'd Google the town I was going to go into, and I'd pick their churches, and I'd try to get the prettiest ones, look out where I could park, where I could safely park. I'm not going to intrude on anybody's privacy. I always kept it in mind, don't park close to people's residences. People could get nervous. Somebody might be offended. What is this guy, peeping Tom? Or what is this utility company doing out in the middle of the night, So I was very self-conscious of that. So I would go to places and make sure that, like I said, I was quick, got my objective done, and I tried to park where I wasn't too close to where people are sleeping, Somebody shoot you, you know what I mean? Yeah. Well, be pushing the envelope, so I'm very self-conscious of that aspect.
I hear you. Next one, Jay.
This is the town of Bernardston, little town just north of Greenfield, where I was, and went in. They had some pretty churches, but it was a foggy night, just like that picture you saw at Greenfield of the Sacrament Church. And I didn't know if this was going to pick it up. Well, what I learned to do is, you see in front of the church, there's a little white light on the ground.
Yeah.
Now, that's a little headlamp I would bring with me.
Oh.
Little miner's hat light, little halogen lights. Didn't offer a lot of light, but I learned it offered enough sometimes.
Yeah.
So the camera would pick up, because a lot of times if it was too dark of a scene, the
Yeah.
camera wouldn't pick up my objective.
Yeah.
So I would bring that with me, and I'd place it in front. But I actually didn't really need it for this, because those lights, street lights, was, lighting it up. I just wish there was a little bit more light at the steeple of that town hall. But it was just enough to get the effect I wanted, and that little bit of light that I put on the ground helped it.
Cool.
But that is a town hall in the town of Bernardston.
Okay.
Little town, pretty little town, But then again, don't forget, when I did these night pictures, I'm not getting your view that you would if it was broad daylight. You know what I mean? So, but it looked nice.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Harry,
Justin, Elia, people are going to get to know your name. You've created a franchise in so many people's minds for those aerial shots that you take. On Facebook, Jimmy Calories loves your work.
Yeah,
And
get
I'm sure
a
others.
compliment from that fella there, boy. I mean, that guy is the photographer,
Yeah.
artistic photographer. Thank you. Yeah, Harry.
Be well, buddy.
Yeah, you betcha. You want to go get that burger?
Sure. Hey, I want to say goodbye to everybody. We'll be back next month. Marilyn Holman will be our guest. So in the meantime, you be well, stay cool, and keep bopping. I'm Harry Platkow. Take care, everybody.